Once again, with the cube in Blender, I'm going to give it what's the point of this? What is the point of this? So it's to look at isolating items in an array, and just to prove that you have isolated them by, say, shrinking them, scaling them. So let's start with good old cube. So I'm going to n.14, and the z, which is the vertical size, will be like that, 0.4. Okay, so we'll go to a 1. So that's a basic. In fact, it's probably not quite the right dimensions for a sleeper, but that's close enough. So it's still in object mode. In fact, let's do a scale. Is that right? Control A, rotation scale, all back to 1. Okay, so now if I go to the arrange and modifier properties, add a modifier of type array, and right now it just looks like we've made the original sleeper longer, but what's happened is that in fact the X factor was because that was 1, it doubled up, but what we actually want to stretch out is the Z factor, and we'll make that 1.2. so now we've got two of these things sitting on top of each other, and indeed we'll go for 4 of them. Okay, so far we've got an object. How does that look in a scene collection? Kind of how you'd expect. I will, again, I don't know if this is absolutely vital down the line, but I'm going to do an apply there. So yeah, so now the modifier has gone because it's baked in the phrase. I do not know. So what I want to do now is say separately take sleepers from top here 1 and 3, and I want to shrink them individually. Let's think how we'll go about that. So I will go into front orthographic so that I can grab the top sleeper, but before I do that I have to go into a Z and a wireframe, or whatever allows the vertices behind to be captured. I'm in edit mode, so I'll select that, and now I am going to say, while I'm in edit mode, I'm going to press P, and that's going to say separate by selection. And what happens on the scene collection side, we get a new cube. So yeah, that's all we need to know right now for that, I guess. But if we go back into object mode, then what do we get highlighted for the original cube? It's the bottom 3 sleepers, including the one with the 3D cursor. And if we go into cube 1, we get this. So let's first of all go into this one, and we will say, and I believe I did a selection by loose parts. So here we are going to say S, and yeah, no, that's not what I want, because it's picking up the cursor for the whole darn thing. That's not what I want. So let's tab. That was in object mode. Let's tab. Now we'll, in fact, why don't I just go into select this one? Not really interested, is it? No, I'll pick up the, well, as far as I can tell, it's not interested anyway. What about if I did a tab over here, and then so swapping over there and swapping over there? Yeah, okay, so let's say that on this one, which is now seems to be independent, I want to press an S. No, it's still picking up the cursor, and we want to scale in the X direction, and yeah, it's doing it. That's the interesting thing. It's like entanglement. So that's okay. I'm just, again, it's probably my ignorance, doubtless my ignorance, but I'm kind of curious. Now, so we've got let's go back to object mode. So we got two, so we've got, where are we? Sorry, go back to object mode. We've got a cube here consisting of these three items. And we've got a cube here consisting of a single item. And now I want to further separate out things by this area, the area here, which consists of 3 sleepers. I want, say, to grab this sleeper that I'm squiggling around on here and do the same thing. So for that, now, do I need to do the P thing again? But P doesn't work in object mode. So if I tab into edit mode and then do the P thing again by selection, interestingly, we've now got a further cube on the right hand side. So that feels as though it could have been right. So now, having done that, I can go back to object mode, make sure this new cube is highlighted, do a scale in the x-axis, and again, it's not really its own kind of master or mistress. It's still kind of owned by that. Maybe the 3D cursor is simply, it's not got nothing to do with the fact that that was the original sleeper. That's just the fact that that's the center of the 3D cursor world, small o. So interesting. But anyway, there we've got kind of what I wanted. So we've got, if we go from this point, we got the two sleepers that we didn't touch. We then got the first sleeper we touched, and then the second sleeper that we touched. So these are, this one's independent, this one's independent, and these two are tightly linked to each other. So for instance, if I highlight this bottom one here, and then I then say rotate around the Z axis, then both of them rotate. Whereas if I say on this one, rotate about the Z axis, then only one of them rotates. There's enough on there.